welcome to the Wrestling Control Podcast and my post show for Elimination Chamber in Perth, Western Australia. Look, I'll say this, that the stadium did look pretty nice. I think it's unfortunate they had to go and start the show at the beginning of the day, because when you see some of those areas that they had to go and block off, the bottom floor kind of looked kind of rough because they didn't have they weren't going to go ahead and fill that whole lower tier with all the people over there. So I understand that part. But like for the most part, it did pack up really well. 52,000, they said, about right. This looks like what it was. I wasn't too much into the fact of, listen, okay, Western Australia, they were allowed to go ahead and do the event there. They obviously got paid to go ahead and put the event there over the weekend. And for Western Australia, man, they got like a whole lot of promotion to put out there. And Cole and Gray's obviously plugging every freaking spot and attraction you can go to around Perth and all that, which is fine. Listen, beautiful beaches. But you want to go and take that 22-hour flight over there from the U.S. and go and try to make it over there? I guess so. I guess if you're wrestling fans, they can get them to go and go over there. Why not? And more than anything I got out of this event was this. It's more than obvious. When we're getting to WrestleMania time, okay, Triple H is not going to pull the trigger on some of the other stars he has in here that he's been pushing that are his bread and butter NXT 2019 black and gold faithful, okay? He has stars that they brought in for the Rainbow brand and they're trying to go and do something with, but what it comes down to is what Vince created and what Vince signed off on. The Vince approved stars. Vince approved. Because you can go ahead and, bitch and moan about the fact that, why isn't he in jail yet? He did get Janelle Grant. He did with all the stuff to her and all these other women and Ashley Mazzaro and whoever else. I get it. But it doesn't take away the fact of the stars that you expect to go and see out there at WrestleMania on a regular basis. This is why you saw who won Elimination Chamber matches tonight. Drew McIntyre, Becky Lynch. Mainstays of the main roster. Stars that have been up there in that main event and have main evented WrestleMania themselves. That's who you're going to get. Because what about the other people that you saw that came down the ring to get some interest? Okay? Think about it. Of those that were in the match tonight, in the matches tonight, and really, did you see any real difference in terms of who was getting over and who wasn't? Well, let me give you a couple names. Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. Indy Hartwell's from Australia. Did they really get that much of a response? No. Now, yeah, sure, the pre-show match. So maybe we can give them a little bit of a slack. So let's talk about let's see, Raquel Rodriguez. Did we get a lot of response from her? No. Tiffany Stratton, first of all, in the Elimination Chamber match for the women, did get a lot of praise because, I'll tell you, they put her through a rigorous thing about throwing her against the Lexan glass, and she was taking a lot of the bumps. Took a lot of bumps in the match tonight. Bianca going out there, they're obviously doing some things where they're trying to create some things here. I wouldn't be surprised if Tiffany and Bianca get put together into a program. That's one thing we were looking to finally see. 6 weeks to go. Elimination Chamber, a good place to go and start making some matches. They obviously did a couple of those with the men's match, right? With Logan Paul and Randy Orton. Obviously, you can make a match out of them. AJ Styles attacking LA Knight, you can make a match out of them. So we got that going for us. And then, the other thing too is going back into the matches themselves, into the card itself. Tiffany Stratton got a lot of praise. Listen, people were really into her. And why not? Again, and I feel like Tiffany Stratton basically has Mandy Rose's spot. That was a spot that was reserved for Mandy Rose if she would have stayed around, if they would have let her stay around after Toxic Attraction. But they didn't. And so Tiffany Stratton gets this spot, but she deserves a spot. Look, they definitely have been pushing her pretty good. She didn't get the win here. Fine. But she got a good appearance for being in this match. That's okay. That works out for here. As for Judgment Day and New Catch Republic, look, it's a workers' match, okay? Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate, yeah. The problem is that you put Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate anywhere else. As I say, this is the NXT black and gold, like this, the dipstick. If you want to go ahead and gauge where these stars are, You know, do we need this? Do we see them in a WWE roster? Expect them to go and excel? No. And the reason why is because they're not going to go ahead and go out there and make spots, and they're going to go and do flashy moves because they're going to be limited on the amount of moves they can be able to do on a regular basis. We know that. So there's no way to go get around that to make it happen. All right? So seeing some of the tag team moves, the double team moves that, look like British Bulldogs out there with Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, that's fine. But some of the gimmicks that, Pete Dunne, that he's had for a long time as the bruiserweight, bringing that back, it doesn't really resonate too much to be anything special when he's on the main roster. Tyler Bate, not much else either. Mustache Mountain, was that going to get over if Trent Seven were still around? No. Only in NXT. So NXT, they could appreciate the full spot action, okay? They could appreciate the extra flair, the moves, the move around, flip around, whatever kind of maneuvers they could do in the ring. Catch as catch can, if they're doing strong style, if they're going luchador style, whatever. That's fine. In NXT, that's allowed, but you're not going to be able to translate that over into the main roster. Every star that comes over is the same thing. Listen, it's Triple H would have to go ahead and create a culture of where Vince's system is no longer the norm, but that system is not going to change overnight. It's going to take a long time to normalize what Triple H might be trying to do with some of these stars he's trying to bring up. That's what you have to understand. Because Vince's vision still applies here. And pulling the trigger on which stars are going to make it to Elimination Chamber and have matches at WrestleMania, you can have some other stars that are being brought into the mix, but there's reasons why they're going to be brought into the mix, okay? So LA Knight and Logan Paul, they're going to get featured matches at WrestleMania coming out of Elimination Chamber. AJ Styles, listen, you put him up as an opponent for LA Knight. They already set things up going back to Royal Rumble. Great. The 5-way match or the 4-way match, right? So that all sets up. You got that storyline that's already been building up and festering. And now you put a crescendo on it. And now we're going to get that match set up with Logan Paul. He needs a featured match. Him and Randy Orton would be great. And actually, it'd be kind of interesting to see if Randy Orton gets to go after the U.S. title. And that's actually a match we get to see. Good. I actually like that a lot. But Logan Paul's a big draw. They put a lot of money into the contract on him, so he's got to have featured matches at WrestleMania or all these other big pay-per-views. And as for LA Knight, this is him getting rewarded for the fact that his gimmick's over. I mean, it is basically a tribute to The Rock and Stone Cold when he does it, which was what Eli Drake's character was in the first place. Now, am I saying this is wrong? Am I saying this is a bad thing to go and see all this happen? No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. It's fine. But you have to understand, for the fanatics out here, all you WWE fans that are in your bubble, that you want to shit on AEW, TNA, MLW, NWA, all the indies, GCW, whatever. You don't want to look, because they don't have that flash, doesn't have that big ring, doesn't have, they're not on TV that you watch on Monday and Friday nights, right? They're on the Peacock, right? They're not on all that. You don't care about them. They don't matter to you unless they're in WWE, right? But the culture of change that you were expecting, that you think, well, any of these stars, MGS should move over, or this person should move over, and Jade Cargill should going to bring the whole gimmick back she had over there over. No. We see it over and over again, okay? For instance, for those that thought that Okada was going to go to WWE, right? Okay. Or Will Ospreay. Do you understand that they get put into the mix, and they're going to get brought in there? They're going to be Shinsuke Nakamura, which is you have to water down Nakamura's moveset, and you have a couple of moves, Kinshasa you get to keep, and a couple other moves he can do, but, his thing's an entrance. Pretty much it. They don't allow him to do anything else. All the other strong style stuff, they just removed it out of his arsenal. He no longer has it. And when they needed to go ahead and push him to get a little bit further, the story was that they did Nakamura in featured feuds with Rollins and McIntyre, right? In order to lure Okada in and say, hey, listen, you can come over here. It's going to be okay. We treat the Asian stars very importantly. Hey, you think that was going to get over? Come on. Okada was in TNA. Do you think he doesn't know how it works? So Okada eventually will be over in AEW. And you know what? You can shit all you want about AEW. But you know what? AEW, you get to see the stars the way they do it. All right? Just because you don't have Cesaro over in WWE doing the big swing, and Castagnoli, and John Moxley, and Bryan Danielson, they all get to do their normal, they get to do their thing and not be stuck to the routine and the yes chance and all that. They can actually just go ahead and go out there and work. Yeah. They've earned the right to do that. And second, they're good at it. Okay? How many times have we seen the Blackpool Combat Club opening up Dynamite? Good. Good for them. It works. People are watching it. You know? And it's like, what else do you want? But there is a point, and really, there's a cut. Okay? The WrestleMania cut. The cut that Vince McMahon created. Okay? There are those that get a chance to go ahead and get a little taste of that main roster. May get the push up, may not. But in order for you to get that push, it doesn't matter how long it takes. If you want the push, you got to be able to do the 5 moves of doom. You got to have your 5 moves. The moves people are going to know and expect when they go to see you in the arena, or they're going to watch you on TV. You got something to go with your gimmick with a catchphrase, or something to your look that identifies and gives you some depth to your character, to your gimmick, because you need a gimmick. You're not going to keep the name and gimmick that you have yourself, and you're not going to expect that WWE is going to build you up and then let you go ahead and take that somewhere else once your contract's not going to be renewed. It's not going to happen. It's not. So do people think that Braun Steiner's going to happen? No. Because listen, if Braun Breaker doesn't work out here, this is the future. If Braun Breaker does not work out, not because the guy is not talented, but I can tell you this scenario. If Braun Breaker were to make his way over into, working on that main roster now that he's signed, right? According to SmackDown. He doesn't get over, right? They've had a lot of big guys that never got over, that really just had the intensity and had all that was going on, but then something happened where it didn't work. We've had guys that you go up to that main roster and, hey, things change a little bit. All right? He might go up there. You can put him in squash matches all you want. You can do whatever you want with him. But that Braun Breaker gimmick, that might not pan out. And then what happens? So Tony Khan takes him. Guess what? He's going to get he's going to be called Steiner. When he gets to go over to AEW, whenever that does happen, because I think that might happen someday, he's going to be called Steiner. And do you want to be more like Rick? Do you want to be more like Scott? Like, what do you want? Do you want to be more Varsity Club? Do you want to be the wrestling, amateur champion Scott Steiner with the Steiner recliners and all this, and you want to be out there with the, that, or do you want to be the Big Papa Pump, the new Big Papa Pump, right? Like, that's the thing. Or do you want to be another dog face for Gremlin? You want to be like your daddy? Like, that's what you got to have. But with any of these stars they have over, listen, and I'm not judging the fact that all these independent stars are not good, but you know what? You put them somewhere else, and they get to go and apply their craft. The DIYs of the world, who, these guys are so so veteran and so talented. See, that's the other part. Think about the stars that you want to go and have that, they've been out there working their asses off for years on the independent circuit, making their way here. And you know what? The likes of Karrion Kross, he's not getting into the WrestleMania mode. He's not going to be part of all that, right? Authors of Pain? Nope. Grayson Waller? Oh, we'll put you on that. We'll do your little skit, the gimmick thing. And Austin Theory? Yeah, Austin Theory, you're lucky you're just being attached to Grayson Waller. Okay? But we're just out, you're using you as pawns. Grayson Waller's an Australian. That's why we're giving him a show. Okay? Yeah, we had that whole thing with Cody Rhodes, obviously offering to challenge The Rock and Seth Rollins, throwing a little more shade to the fact that he might screw over Cody eventually. That probably will happen. We don't know if that's going to be before WrestleMania or what. And if Cody, if The Rock will accept the challenge. But otherwise, Grayson Waller, that's the only way he's going to get onto these shows. Or the same thing going for Austin Theory. Because there's not much more that they're good for right now at all. And they're not going to get built to anything else unless you give them a gimmick and you do the things that Vince used to do. Triple H is going to have to learn that lesson because that's the way he created this company. WWE, and it doesn't matter what TKO Group Holdings is going to do what they're going to do. The wrestling fans have been trained, they've been programmed, they've been put under the idea that this is the way it is. And for some of those fans that think that, the older fans that think, well, we don't need the gimmicks. Yeah, we do. Yeah, you do. And you need larger than life stars. And guess what? You need some of these smaller stars to go up with some big guys. So like the Omasas of the world that you don't want to see out there. Yeah, they need to be out there. They need to be out there. Got it? Unless you decide to make the changes necessary, right? Let me tell you like this. Okay, Liv Morgan. There was a great example. She's part of the original NXT group, that would have been part of that black and gold routine. Remember she had the whole, kind of the street Jersey girl kind of thing. And look at what she's gone through. What they've done with her, put her through with Ronda Rousey, the whole Riot Squad. Like after Riot Squad, by the way, she's nothing like she was. She's glammed up. She's more of a natural look than you would expect for her. And she's the one that panned out. Like remember that. She's the one that panned out and became the star. Blonde hair, pretty, works well in the ring. Yeah, she's going to go over like that. And of course, the Vinces and the John Laurinaitis of the world, they're going to go ahead and pick her, right? And they did. So yeah, if you're blonde, you got the body, you got the looks. That's why Tiffany Stratton's going to get pushed to the moon. Mandy Rose would have gotten there, but Tiffany Stratton, absolutely, because it's marketing. The TKO Group Holdings folks, they know, man. You want to have certain stars up there, you're going to put them up. Unless there's just certain things about... Well, now, some of them also, there are those, again, that are exceptions to the rule. Bianca Belair is still exception to the rule. The gimmick that she has, it was a strong gimmick coming out of NXT. And it transited very well. And she's already had a great run so far over several WrestleManias, being champion, and now she's just in the mix right here. And, she's working on the stuff with her husband on the Hulu show. So she's all set. But otherwise, in the Elimination Chamber matches, you still have a number of names that are veterans that were part of what Vince brought into the fold and allowed to go and be pushed forward. With Naomi, with Liv Morgan, with Becky Lynch. And Becky Lynch winning, if you want to get Rhea Ripley to go and be completely made... Just like Bianca Belair became that bona fide star, like Rhea Ripley's already there. But having the match with Becky Lynch, you're putting Rhea Ripley together with the best in the roster, right? And they set it up. It was going to be something that was going to happen. And now we're here with this. By the way, Nia Jax, she did pretty well working the match with Rhea Ripley. And it was good to see Rhea Ripley get her main event moment in Australia. That was really nice. And she could very well get another one based on what they're going to do on Saturday at WrestleMania, in 6 weeks. If she gets that spot. We don't know. But I can imagine the women getting that spot. And I could totally see Rhea Ripley getting that spot. Her and Becky Lynch to close it out? Yeah, I could definitely see that. Now, you could go with Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre to close it out. But no, I think we might get Rhea Ripley, Becky Lynch to close out Saturday night. That's what I think the first night will have. There is a line that needs to be crossed for those that are going to make it over. Any of these stars that Triple H needs to bring up, he's got to realize that he's got against the wall. There's nothing he can do that's going to absolutely get the crowds over. Like it's like, you're not going to, unless Triple H starts getting into the idea of pushing people so hard in their face. He's going to have to do what Vince McMahon used to do, where you're forcing people down their throats. And Triple H, you're going to have to do that if you want to get some of these other younger stars over, or some of these other stars that are not the mold of the conventional, traditional WrestleMania time WWE stars, the stars we see on that main roster on a regular basis. Okay, you're going to have to find something to create the mystique around them that makes them so popular, but gets them so over. There are so many different stars they have. And don't get me wrong, hey, if they're in the mid card, that's fine. But if some of those stars that have been in the mid card for a long time, and you know, the thought process was, what was it, 2019 Survivor Series? Oh yeah, you're going to be up here someday. You're going to be in that main event too. No, you're not. No, you're not. It's just going to happen. Realize that only certain stars made their way up, and they're not going to get to be up there. Okay, Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, yeah, they got up there. They totally did. Tiffany Stratton is a rare case. But I mean, you look at her and she looks like a star. You can't stop her. If she goes somewhere else, it's the same thing going. Okay? I mean, she's more Mandy Rose than Dana Brooke. Put it like that. And don't know what to tell you about that. So that's something you got to just look at and say to yourself, you know what? You're not going to get much farther than that. That's all there is to it. But overall, you know, the choices for WrestleMania, what we most likely have right now to set up for WrestleMania coming up, we're definitely getting some matches already set up and going, which is good. So right off the bat, WrestleMania 40, once we get to it, we're going to probably get the matches already set up. We got 4 matches pretty much set up right now. All your world title matches are set. So Roman Reigns will take on Cody Rhodes. Undisputed Universal Championship. Io Sky and Bayley for the Women's Championship. Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch for the Women's World Championship. Seth freaking Rollins and Drew McIntyre for the World Heavyweight Championship. Those are all going to be good storylines. All going to be good matches. And you split those matches up. However you're going to do that. And then among other matches I can see that they're going to set up for the card, I can see AJ Styles and LA Knight. I can see Randy Orton, Logan Paul. But yeah, you need like another, 7-8 matches now to get set up to fill out the rest of the card. I mean, will that be the women's will that be the women's tag team titles, the men's tag team titles? What else? And one of the things I got to tell you as well is that if Seth comes through, one thing I got to think about as well, and nobody's talking about this, but we still haven't had a Damian Priest cash in yet. That's got to be taking place somewhere. He's a heel. He can't just go ahead and just plan a match and schedule it. He's got to go ahead and sneak away and get the cash in on it. So I could see Seth freaking Rollins getting done what was done to him, what he did, what was it, 7-8 years ago? I forget which WrestleMania it was. To see Seth freaking Rollins get cashed in on himself by Damian Priest. Where Seth Rollins wins, but then it's Damian Priest that cashes in and becomes World Heavyweight Champion after WrestleMania. I can see it happening. We don't see the title change with Drew McIntyre, but obviously Drew McIntyre being here makes sense for him to be that championship contender. Sure. But we have to wait and see what they're going to do. They have matches left to go and schedule, but like so far, you're not going to do too bad with some of the matches they already have. Roman and Cody's all set up. Where's The Rock going to be in this mix? Because if The Rock's already going to be out there anyway, he's already looking to go and be in WrestleMania in some way, shape, or form, where are we going to put him? Because The Rock needs a match. No CM Punk. And since CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, we're not going to get to that. I mean, Drew McIntyre doesn't need to be in this here because Drew McIntyre can just wait for CM Punk to come back. And then WrestleMania offseason, you have them have a program, and hopefully CM Punk stays healthy to be able to do that. Whenever he's able to go and come back from injury. Gunther needs an opponent. We got to worry about that. And who knows who that's going to be. So I think there's still a lot of things to go and put together, but at least we more or less have 4 matches ready to go. We need a whole lot more matches set up in 6 weeks. So this has got to get cinched up pretty quickly. However they're going to do that. Plus, we also know if Brock Lesnar's already caught up in this whole thing with the lawsuits, or the lawsuit, then I guess we don't see Brock Lesnar anytime soon. We don't know if he comes back or not. And, who knows what else there is. Bad Bunny's on tour, so we're not expecting that from him. We're not expecting him. But there's going to be other matches they set up. I don't know. We'll find out. I didn't get a chance to catch No Surrender, but I saw that some of the highlights they brought up in terms of the event last night. What we got in terms of winners: Rascals over Speedball Mountains, Mike Bailey and Trent Seven. Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers defeated Kevin Knight and Kushida. Eric Young is going to be now number one contender to take on for the World Championship. And it was Moose that won again last night, along with the system. He beat Alex Shelley, so the rematch was already taken care of. Done. Moose stays champion. ABC defeats the Grizzled Young Vets. Final match of the best of 3 series. And PCO over Khan. MK Ultra over Decay. Josh Alexander over Simon Gotch. And Jordan Grace over Michelle Shaw. And Mustafa Ali over Chris Sabin. So Mustafa Ali there was a new change in the X Division. Mustafa Ali is now X Division champion. Congratulations to him. And that's my post show for tonight. We're going to leave it there. The fallout from Elimination Chamber comes up. I didn't mind much about having the show come on at 5 in the morning. I wasn't going to catch it then anyway. I caught it, all throughout the day. No problem there. It's nice to have on Peacock and be able to get that on when I need to. Pretty easy to go and catch. So we need something more to make it extra WrestleMania special. We need a few more things to happen. So The Rock needs his match. We know Logan Paul has to have his match set. And, what else do we have? Let's get everything else done. We're going to figure all that out. And with LA Knight and AJ Styles, what's going to happen there? LA Knight's going to have to go after the OC by himself. Plus, we also don't know what's going to happen with the Usos, where Jimmy and Jay are going to be in the mix right now, and what they're going to be set up for, or what Solo Sikoa is going to be set up for when it comes to the Bloodline and what their participation is in WrestleMania. We got to figure that out too. So there's a lot of things that are going to, get put together. We'll find it all out. Website is kingofpodcasts.com. YouTube at King of Podcasts. And if you need to find everything about the show, kingofpodcasts.com. All my information is there. All my podcasts, social media links, everything. Everything you need to know, find it right there. And come back Wednesday for another Wrestling Is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us.